A man was tragically buried alive in a mudslide while in his car. He rolled down his window and stuck his hand outside, trying to gauge the depth of the mud. Little did he know that this foolish decision nearly cost him his life. Fortunately, he managed to close the window just before the mudslide rushed in. But before he could catch his breath, he heard the ominous sound of his sunroof beginning to crack. In a panic, he quickly found some tape and tried to prevent the mud from pouring in, but the tape proved ineffective. Suddenly, the man discovered a steering wheel lock under his seat. Thinking quickly, he extended the lock and braced it diagonally against the sunroof. Surprisingly, this improvised brace actually worked. After this exhausting ordeal, the man was parched. He grabbed his water bottle and gulped it down, only realizing halfway through that it was his last bottle of water. He felt a mix of regret and anxiety, uncertain how long he'd be trapped there. But with the deed done, he finished the water in one go. Soon he noticed the oxygen in the car was running out. Determined to survive, he gathered every useful tool he could find. He discovered a steel tube and a folding chair and quickly pulled it out. Using a nail clipper, he drilled small holes in the bottle cap, then threaded a rope through it and stuffed it into the steel tube, using the bottle cap to seal the end. After completing this makeshift device, he couldn't help but admire his own cleverness. Putting on gloves, he straightened a wire and used it to drill a small hole in the sunroof. Then he inserted the hollow steel tube through the hole and pushed it upward with all his might. The mud was so thick that even at 1.5 meters, the tube hadn't reached the surface. He found another tube and connected it to the first one, but even with all his strength, he couldn't push it any further. Something was blocking it. Left with no choice, he placed a thin towel on his body for padding and pushed the tube upward with all his might, despite the pain. Suddenly, his shoulder gave way as he realized the tube had broken through to the surface. He quickly pushed a wire through the tube to open the bottle cap at the end, then peered through. The faint light visible at the end of the tube made him shout with excitement. He even called out greetings through the tube. In his elation, he pressed his mouth against the tube opening and greedily sucked in the fresh air, feeling reborn. But his next foolish decision would prove fatal. To attract attention, he lit a fire inside the car, hoping the smoke would travel up through the tube. However, he quickly became overwhelmed by the smoke, collapsed to the floor, and passed out. This thrilling movie is called Detour, released in 2013.